now we've got Appa somewhere hanging out.
Totally got Appa. Howdy, everybody, and welcome to another exciting episode of the Faab Five campaign here on the Random Rhapsody Network. I'm Matthew R. Dawson, your friendly neighborhood host and GM, and joining me around the virtual table today are Alyssa, Joe, Koines, and Kyle. Say hi, everybody.
Hi, everybody. Hi, everybody.
Yo, Veil is also here.
Ah, Veil, you did make it. So Jeremy's here as well, everybody. Awesome. Now, before we begin, I do have a couple announcements to get through. First off, we have a Halloween one-shot coming up in 2 weeks, hosted by our own Alyssa Egan. Should be fun. Me and Bree from the Faab Five, or from the Debauchery Circus, are playing along with Joe and Koines from the Faab Five here, and it sounds like Kyle might be making a guest star as well. So we'll see what happens. But that is coming up in 2 weeks on October the 25th. It's going to be starting at 3 p.m. and going until Alyssa tells us we're done. So should be fun. We also have a Christmas one-shot coming up in December, so stay tuned for that. You can follow us on Twitter as at @random_Rhapsody or on Facebook as Random Rhapsody, and you can keep up to date that way on everything we do and what our schedule is. Okay, so that should do it for the announcements. Now join us as we dive into the world of Loroupa and continue on with the adventures of the Faab Five. And we're back. So when we last left off, the Faab Five had just managed to cast Greater Restoration on Apollyon to cure him of his curse. Liam was dismayed to discover that Vulcan had lost his first handful of diamond dust in the fight against the Aqua Minotaur, and he did not have enough to cast the spell on him as well. The distraught Liam went off to drink his sorrows away, while Eloise ran upstairs to check on the civilians, and blood from a stone filled in shadow and sparkles on what had just happened. The Tabaxi couple seemed to argue amongst themselves for a bit, but eventually the pair handed over a bag of diamond dust they had acquired during their search of the town. The Tabaxi female then informed Blood that this was in trade for a future favor that he would owe them. With the diamond dust in hand, Vulcan finally hailed the drunken monk, much to his delight, and the party decided to rest for a bit and have breakfast before setting out for Morag. While they waited, Veil brought out a few of his zombies to carry him around, which immediately triggered the father, and who came very close to outright attacking the drow and his undead. It was only through the intervention of Blood and Vulcan that stayed the old dwarf's hand, though Vulcan warned Veil that his necromantic tendencies would end up getting him killed in Morag if he persisted. The wizard reluctantly returned his zombies to his portable hull, though not before using them to antagonize the druid and cleric one final time. The group finished making breakfast, and as they were doing so, the blue heron monk Jortha announced that wraiths were beginning to crowd the front gate of the temple. Fearing another assault, Eloise parted ways with her sacred staff and transformed it into a gigantic tree. Vulcan then used this to open a portal to a tree close to the trade outpost outside the dwarven capital. The Faab Five hurried the rescued townsfolk through as quickly as they could, and once outside Morag, Veil very quickly made these townspeople someone else's problem by announcing to the nearby tavern that they were all outside and needed help. Through that commotion, the squad was able to slip away and join the queue to enter the underground fortress that is the capital city of Morag. And so, Faab Five, you have arrived at the architectural marvel that is the seat of power for the Dwarven Empire. The Dwarven seat of power lies quite literally within a hollowed-out mountain inside the Cragmore Range. The city glows with the warm fire-red light that flickers with life throughout the sprawling metropolis. Most of these buildings are what one would expect from master stonemasons. Buildings masterfully crafted from stone, no doubt mined as the dwarves dug out their mountain home. The city streets are geometrically organized, broken occasionally by strangely shaped and hulking things that could only be described as artistic expression through stonework. Towards the far end of the city, one can easily make out the largest and most massive building any of you have ever seen. It's easy to see in this distance from just about anywhere in the city, mainly as it seems to have been carved straight from the rock itself as the dwarves hollowed out the mountain. The thing nearly runs from floor to ceiling, and there is even a canyon and bridge between it and the rest of the city, making it both a palace and a fortress at once. Your group had asked Vulcan to take them to the merchant's quarter first, and Eloise's adopted father obliged, telling you all tales from his time here in the city in a wistful kind of way as he leads you. Blood. As soon as you enter the great city, you started to recognize signs of the syndicate here in Morag. Symbols in the right places identifying potential marks or friendly businesses, people lingering in ways that allow you to identify them for what they are, things of that nature. And as you are all walking and looking around at the sights, a question comes to each of your minds. The question is, what is the biggest mistake your character has ever made? And I think we're going to go with Apollyon to start, and go alphabetically today. So Apollyon, what is the biggest mistake you've ever made?
My biggest mistake? Leaving behind my beloved Biscuit. Seeing him in chains that last time, and not having the strength to break him free. Oh, I regret it every day.
Not when you're in the sea captain's arms.
Indeed. Blood from a
Don't
stone.
you worry about that.
Stone,
Have an open relationship.
apparently.
Uh,
Hey. Go ahead, Blood.
I think my biggest mistake was allowing my brother to talk me to failed version. I had get a little stronger, back against it, to die.
Indeed. That is a lingering mistake that seems to be haunting you, Blood. Eloise, how about you?
Oh, probably the time that I tried to help my affair out with his distillery, and I wanted to add something to the moonshine. I thought it would make it taste like a little bit different and a little more interesting, and tried to stop me, but it was too late, and the whole thing blew up, and lost his eyebrows.
Indeed, he did, and they never really grew back the right way after that.
No. They're a
That's a
little
shame.
patchy.
Liam, you're next.
I'd have to say the biggest mistake I've ever made was thinking that glaive was just a simple pretty weapon. That led to quite a few deaths, and at least one town was devastated by it. I think 2 towns would have been worse, but one's pretty bad.
Well, I mean, we still have time, so I guess we'll wait and see.
Oh.
Necthros, you're last.
I don't make mistakes. Maybe a few minor calculations here and there, but I don't make mistakes, and I don't appreciate the accusations.
Oh, that sounds about right. I like it. Okay. So as your thoughts are all lingering on past mistakes, or in Veil's case, the lack thereof, you arrive, after about an hour or so of walking, to a set of stairs leading down into a lower level full of buildings. Your noses, no doubt, alert you to the marketplace long before your eyes find it. Rich aromas of roasting meats and potent alcohols mixed with heavy spices, rich smokes, and lots of sweaty bodies all jammed together into one space. Apollyon probably likes it a little bit more than he lets on. The sound of vendors... Yeah, absolutely. The sound of vendors hawking their wares, whores plying their trade, and rich music of the fife and the lute comes steadily to your ears, along with that ever steady echo of tink, 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 hammer striking anvil as well. It's not hard for any of you to locate that long stretch of the road filled with stalls and shops that makes up the merchant quarter. As you come down to the bottom of the stairs, the first sight that catches your eyes, however, is an elaborately painted sign denoting the building directly in front of you as the Wandering Tavern Inn, a 3-story tall stone building with a gray tiled roof and wooden shutters on its windows. The music is coming from the inside of that tavern, and it is lively and raucous. And occasionally you can hear cheers of lally ho calling out amidst laughter and the clanking of mugs. There we go. Where was I? Oh, yeah. Outside the double doors of the tavern, a town crier rings a bell and calls something about an attempted murderer still at large, and that a meeting between the nations and the elves have reached its conclusion. To the south, you can see the edge of the marketplace stretching on past your vision to the right. So, Faab Five, where are you wanting to go?
Murderer.
What does the sign say?
It says the Wandering Tankard. It's the name of the inn.
Sounds like a good place for a drink.
And I'll say in Dwarvish, I could use a drink.
Absolutely. Well, the door to the tavern is a double door, one of those old-timey Western style, you know, half doors that you push through as you all walk in.
Double swing, cool.
And inside you find a tavern full of life. Patrons lining most of the tables, though there is one table empty in the center of the room. Quite a few people at the bar, all drinking. You see dwarves, you see halflings, you see gnomes, occasional half-orcs or tieflings as well. And there's even a bugbear, or not bugbear, what's the word I'm thinking of? Not the bugbear, the other one. Anyway. No, I'm blanking for a second. It doesn't matter. Sure, bugbear is over there as well. Because I'm blanking on the right word. What was Caduceus?
Furbolg.
Furbolg. That's the word I was looking for. Furbolg. So I'm just looking at the token and he looks Furbolgish. But anyway, the tavern, as I said, is very lively, and behind the bar is an elderly dwarf with a long braided beard and hair that is very short and slightly sandy blonde. He's peddling his drinks, passing them out to the people sitting at the bar, and even more wandering around. And behind him, Liam, you can see many, many bottles of alcohol, as well as several big kegs of beer that he just fills tankards directly from the tap.
Awesome.
I'll move over to motion to my friends. Come on, guys, I got us a table.
I guess I'll go.
And I'll say very loudly in Dwarvish, "Around for me and my friends."
And you hear a bunch of cheers call out, "Yeah!" just from the call of ale. A shorter dwarven woman comes running up. Her beard is kind of full, but cropped short close to her chin. Dark, raven dark hair on her face and bright blue eyes. And she comes walking over with 4 tankards of ale, and she says, "All right, here we go. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 tankards right here of our local brew. This is Blackguard's Ale, one of the best."
All right, thank you kindly.
That'll be 3 gold, 5 silver, please.
I'll give her 5 gold.
Okay.
Highly.
You slip the 5 gold to her, and it immediately disappears down her very ample cleavage. And she kind of smiles at you all and helps to pass it out to everybody. "Can I get you anything else, darling?"
Just don't be too far.
"Oh, I'm never too far. Just call out for Katie."
Thanks, Katie.
And she kind of waves at you and wanders off to another table that's calling her over to them. Vulcan walks over to the table and picks up the mug as well and kind of looks at all of y'all before just downing it. He
Push mine over to like so.
Well, I'll see it as a challenge, and I'll chug mine as well then.
It takes him probably about 3-4 seconds to drain the whole tankard. These are dwarven steins, so they're pretty damn big, and y'all just watch.
He probably chugs it faster than me, but I'll just keep slowly chugging until I finish mine at whatever speed I can do it at.
Well, you know what? Let's try it out. Go ahead and make a con check for me.
I was gonna say, as soon as they're done, they look over and Apollyon's already finished his.
Well, make your con check as well, Apollyon.
Constitution?
Yeah, con check. So, Vulcan rolled a
point on that.
Yeah, go for it.
I'm just gonna take a sip of
shit.
mine.
That's more about my.
I'm gonna take a sip of mine, and as I'm watching all of them be ridiculous, and I'm actually gonna hold it and tilt it a little bit so that Jareth can have a taste too.
Okay, I like it. So Apollyon, yeah, everyone just as Vulcan is just chugging this beer. Liam, it's a big stein, dude. You're not too used to dwarven steins, and it's twice the size as the what you normally use. You're drinking as fast as you can, but Vulcan puts his tankard down at least another 3 seconds before you do, and then they both just look over at Apollyon, who just belches loudly, beating both of them without even noticing. Eloise, probably Jareth flies over and lands on your shoulder as well, I'm going to say, because why not?
Totally
Yeah.
take it over his familiar.
I'm gonna share mine with him.
Vale looks at Eloise as Jareth flies over and lands on his shoulder and kind of gives her a narrowed-eyed glare and says, he needs to look out for us, so don't get him too tipsy.
And I just kind
Lord.
of Gareth and I'm like, is this stuff strong enough to make you tipsy?
Well, you took a sip of it, and it is strong. Not nearly as strong as Vulcan's moonshine. He tore that shit up.
He's like a 4-ounce bird.
Isn't he incorporeal too? Like,
Oh, he's
Yeah.
he's an actual he's
but he's like a
he's
fey
tiny, though.
spirit, right?
he's
Yeah, he's a face.
but he's
They,
in.
they don't
he's
eat, they
got
don't
math.
drink,
Yeah,
they
he
don't
doesn't
breathe.
have to.
Yeah.
Well, they
Jareth
don't
just
have to,
takes
they
his-
can.
Yeah, Jareth takes his wings and kind of shrugs his shoulders as she
But he's like a
as he
4-ounce
takes a
bird.
sip.
I like it. And as you're all sitting there, and Eloise is just kind of shaking her head at boys being boys, Jortha is sitting there next to Apollyon, and she slams her tankard down as well, emptying. She's emptied it too.
I don't remember them drinking like that back at the Heron.
Yeah, well, after our dealing with everything with you all, I needed this.
You're not telling me you found some liquor in the church place there, did you?
She kind of snorts her a little bit. Psst, haven't seen any in weeks.
Well, sorry that happened to you. It's a damn shame.
So Vale Mage Hands passes his ale over to Jortha, and Blood pushed his over to Vulcan. And they both just kind of look at him and shrug. The two of them, their eyes meet, Vulcan and Jortha,
Oh ho ho.
and they just both shrug and start drinking more of it.
Katie, another round.
All right.
Right, you are!
Guys, we've been fighting too hard, and then I don't know what all that stuff happened back there, really. But I don't think I want to go near water again.
I mean, it's still pretty early, guys, and got a lot of stuff to do.
It's true. It is only about like 10 o'clock in the morning, maybe 10:30 at this point. Oh no, wait a minute. It's a little later than that because you had to spend time walking around and it took a little while to get through. It's more like 1 o'clock. It's about lunchtime.
Oh, there's no
Two things here, Morag.
Yeah, we're under a mountain, so there's no sun. We can just say it feels like 5 o'clock.
Somewhere. 5 o'clock somewhere.
It's definitely 5 o'clock somewhere.
It's 7:32 here. I don't know what you guys are talking about.
I'll throw another 5 gold piece down when Katie comes back, but yeah, we should probably start talking about our plan.
Well, it takes her about a minute to go and get more steins, and she does walk them over to you and passes them out. And as she's doing, she takes the 5 gold and she says, "We do also have. We're also serving lunch right now. If anyone's hungry."
What's on the menu?
Well, we have braised boar snout with a juniper berry vinegar served on a buckwheat pancake. We also have roasted boar ribs served in a dark beer glaze with roasted potatoes and carrots.
Careful, your chef is showing.
I'll take the ribs, Bill says.
Praised boar for me, please.
It's boar snout.
Praised snout, whatever it is. It's from a boar, is it not?
It is, dear. It's quite good. The chef makes it wonderful.
I haven't found a part of the boar I don't like, I'll tell you that much.
We also have a... Oh, I forgot. We have a light quail egg and spinach mushroom pie. If anyone's interested in something more on the lighter side.
Ooh, pie for me.
Oh yeah, I need the protein. Give me that pie and the ribs.
Okay. So lunch here is going to cost each of you 1 gold piece for the meal. Apollyon, it's 2 for 2 meals.
I bring her over to the side and I like grab her up in my arms and like whisper in her ear in Dwarvish, like, "Don't worry about it, honey, I got this," and I'll slip her 10 gold.
Wow. And she's startled at first, and she thinks you're about to grope her, and so you see blood, or anyone who has a passive perception over 16 would probably see the dagger in her hands about to stab until he whispers something into her ear, and then she just stops, and oh, he's not grabbing my ass. Money. And you just see a bright look on her face as he slips her this gold. She laughs and says, "Oh, okay. Thank you. I'll have that food right out, Mr. Minotaur, sir."
All right.
I'm gonna laugh. She didn't know your name.
But she does go hurrying off as Liam's saying this and chuckling. Vulcan ordered the pie as well, and Jortha ordered the braised boar snout. What would you all want to do?
Well, down to business. First things first. We need to find out if Elvis is still alive. Once we do, we can move on from there, but if he is still alive, we know that's the target.
Well, Friar said a murder, so there hasn't been a murder in town yet.
Well, maybe that was.
It
Well, I
could
don't know
be,
if
we
it's or
may...
not, but murdered
Oh.
that they would have announced.
You could ask around about. Or the attempted so we saw what they look like.
See, that's the thing, it wouldn't have been Grood. If it had been him, he would have succeeded. It may have been his apprentice trying to earn his stripes.
Well, let's ask if there's any rumors. Waitress comes back.
Is the waitress the one to ask? Would she be the ear to the ground?
I would
Well,
assume
you
she'd know
usually-
everything.
What usually keeps your ear to the ground? You've got friends everywhere, yes?
I wouldn't call them friends. I'd find somebody.
Don't worry, guys. I can make friends anywhere. I'm the Golden Boy.
One town.
Well, it takes about 10 minutes or so before she comes back with another younger dwarf girl. This one has pigtails and no sign of a beard on her chin. She's obviously much younger. Looks a lot like the waitress. And the two of them together are carrying all these plates heaping with food, and they begin passing them out. And as they're doing so, the meal is just incredible. The braised boar snout is gelatinous and rich, and you can smell that vinegar just hitting your nose in a pleasant sort of way. That really just works well with the braising liquid. The pancake that's served on is thick and hearty. The ribs are incredible. They're heavily smoked and spiced, and they have a bit of a spicy kick to them. and the potatoes that are served with them were hard seared in a pan. And when you sniff it, you realize bacon grease. Cooked in bacon grease.
Katie, this looks amazing. May I ask you one question off the menu real quick?
Sure, hun. What can I do for you?
Well, we saw a poster in town talking about some attempted murder. Should we be afraid? Is there someone on the loose?
Oh, yeah, I heard about that. Apparently someone broke into one of the mansions down in the castle district of town. Someone broke in, smashed up a bunch of stuff, and hurt several of the servants living there. But fortunately, from what I hear, no one was injured, and the person who attacked ran off into the night.
How long ago was that?
Oh, she's thinking a little bit, and you notice as she's sitting there thinking, she's eyeing you, and then you notice her hand is open.
Oh yeah, I slip her another 5 gold. Keep that 5 gold train going.
Okay. That disappears very fast. Like, it's not quite blood from a stone's sleight of hand level, but it's pretty damn close. As it disappears down her bodice once again. And what was the question again? Sorry, I lost my train of thought.
Just basically how long ago? She told us Castle District.
Yeah. Oh, well, 3 weeks ago at least. And the Red Guard are no closer to finding who did it. Strange.
That is strange. Now I know of the great entrance. We came through it. Are there multiple ways out, or would they have seen if this attempted person were to leave?
I mean, the city goes on very far, and there are plenty of ways out into the mountains again. Most of them are guarded, of course. There is also the Underdark, though. The Underdark goes far beyond our kingdom.
I second Eloise's question and say, has anything happened since? I mean, the town crier is still talking about something that happened 3 weeks ago.
I know they don't understand the procedure, so I'm gonna slip her 5 gold while they're continuing to talk to her.
Okay, so the question is, has anything else strange happened? And she says, well, there's the usual things that happen. Occasionally there's fires that break out, or people are injured or killed. The reason they're still talking about the attempted murder is that it's happened multiple times. That we've had a murderer going through town killing quite a few people, but this last attack they ended, and no one has seen or heard that this individual since.
You said they were on a killing spree, and then this last attempt, they've just stopped.
No murders. Well, I mean, there's always murders in the city like this, but nothing unexplained like that. No.
Does anybody have a description?
The person. She goes over to. She says, "Hold on one moment," and goes over to the bar, where she kind of talks to the bartender, who hands her a piece of paper, and she brings it back. She unrolls it and shows you there's a silhouette that's been drawn and kind of a scowling, ugly face, but the thing itself, it says, wanted for murder. Shadowy individual, has not been seen by witnesses other than a shadow shape, massive in size. that has killed multiple people in town. The only description that they have is large, very large, humanoid, and horribly vicious.
Yeah, that's shadows are tricky. You get them from the right angle. You think a bird is a rock, you know, just.
She kind of looks at you a little confused and's like, well, yeah, I suppose so.
Yeah, you believe a bird is a rock, and then shoot it down, and it happens to be my dad.
And the Vulcan is kind of chuckling at this, and he's like, "Yeah, that totally did happen. These guys are assholes. That's definitely true." And this woman is like, not only is the dwarf confused, but Jorth is looking at everyone like,
Guys.
"What the fuck are you talking about?"
Oh, guys. Terrifying to pull walk.
Oh yeah, this woman the dwarf, the waitress, Katie, just looks absolutely confused. Like she has no idea what you're all talking, and she says,
That's awesome because we're not even revealing all that much.
"Yeah, you're really just making you're saying things that you all understand in context, but she has no clue what you're talking about, and really neither does Jortha. So they both have very confused, bemused looks on their face as they look at one another and look back at everyone. And Vulcan's just like, just don't ask, dear. Just don't ask. You don't want to know.
Uncomfortable is my comfortability, so I'm just leaning back in my chair, chilling at this scene.
And I'm just gonna grab a handful of flyers, and I'm gonna hand them to her. And I'm like, if the proprietor here is okay with it, maybe pass these out or my friend has a shop and trying to get some word spread around about it. It's a really lovely shop.
Go ahead and make a persuasion check.
Oh.
Hey, boom! Big number.
Nice.
Wow, that is impressive. So the woman looks very surprised at this request. She's like, "Oh, sure, we do have a board that we allow people to put up flyers, local things, but I don't mind putting some of these up. Sure, okay." And she takes a handful of flyers from you. And just over here, I suppose. And she kind of walks away and to go hand one to the bartender, and then put one on a big cork board that's along the side of one wall right over here, leading back to a back area that none of you can really see past.
You didn't mention who the last attempted murderer was on, did she?
She didn't.
Now down to 50 flyers.
Thought there was so much less. But she's a fucking.
Yeah, I kind of feel like we've asked her enough questions and freaked her out enough. Maybe we check Syndicate for more information next.
By the way, she's doing that sleight of hand stuff. She could be Syndicate.
Are there any suspicious-looking figures in this tavern?
That's just a female thing. You put money in their hand, it disappears. That's not.
Go ahead and make a
Besides
perception.
us, Apollyon?
19 on perception.
Well, besides your group, which is definitely suspicious, there, a lot of them are dwarves that seem to be locals. Even the halflings and the gnomes. This is an area that the hegemony is it's not anti any race, but most of the people who live here are either dwarves or gnomes or halflings or orcs, things of that nature. Occasionally, your giant folk like Goliaths are here as well. Most of the people that are here, like I said, appear to be locals. Dirt on their clothes. There's quite a few miners in this area. The group that does stand out is that group that has a furbolg and a tiefling sitting at a table not far from you down here. And they've been mostly keeping to themselves, keeping their heads down, and not really looking around at anybody. Even when the musicians came around to them and playing near their table, they seem to really just ignore them and keep to themselves. So when you ask the most suspicious looking people, that would be them.
Is there anybody that looks particularly well armed?
That group is definitely well armed. Most of them have some type of leather, either leather or chain. All of them have weapons, and just judging by the look of them, without making you roll an insight check, there's a pretty good chance they're either adventurers or mercenaries of that nature.
I turn back and I whisper to Veil, I got some eyes for recruitment.
Veil gives you a nod.
Ask them to help us? What's the type?
In a manner.
About to go shouting your name.
Hold on. What's my intelligence now? Oh, that's right. It went back to being 11.
Well, that's not horrible for an intelligence.
I know. Based on what how I would act.
Yeah.
Shit, mine's below that.
Hell, even when he had the frickin' headband on, he was still gonna go shouting his name. Oh god, he went over.
And as you're all...
Hey, nice weapons and armor. You guys know a good blacksmith in town?
So the four individuals that are sitting at the table, the one you walked over is feminine shaped. Long, dark hair, and she kind of glances up at you. You see a bit of a reptilian feature to her eyes and her nose, which reminds you of somebody you met a long time ago.
Getting horrible flashbacks.
The man immediately to your left is a human, and the tiefling is wearing all leather. He has a rapier at his side. The furbolg over here has a great axe that's slung over his back. The woman right next to you, who I described previously, she has a dagger in her hand. And she looks up at you.
That guy's a tiefling? I thought that was just straight up a goat.
Did you say that out loud?
Did you say that?
Yeah.
Oh
Wow. And all of them look up at you at once as you just walk over, say, "Hi, how you doing? Oh, you're a tiefling?" And they look at you with just this dark look on their face like, what the fuck? The tiefling looks over at you and says, "Nah, I'm a bull like you. Can't just tell the resemblance."
I see. I like the shape of those horns, if you know what I mean.
Back at the table, Plus just got his fucking face in his hand. He's just,
Vulcan and Jortha are both just staring at Apollyon right now. And Vulcan looks back at you, Blood, like with your head down like this, and he looks to Eloise and he says, "What in the hell is that boy doing?"
Oh,
Veil,
apple being apple. And I'm gonna proceed to feed a bit of the pie crust to Jareth.
he's either gonna fuck or fight one of them. I guarantee it.
Veil leans into
Oh, probably
Apollyon.
both.
He whispers, "You're doing great, bud. Keep it up."
God dang.
Drow.
So anyway, I was just wondering where I could maybe get a new axe here in town. Looks like you guys pretty well armed up.
Make a persuasion check.
You're lucky it's not at disadvantage.
11.
The four at the table look up at you again as when you say, "Hey, you know where a blacksmith is?" There seems to be a glance that's shared between the four of them. The tiefling nods a little bit. And as one, all four of them stand up. The tiefling says, "You're in the right place." And as one, all four of them begin to walk out.
Well, all right. You guys see that? Let's just follow these guys and we can get some sweet gear.
Gotta be shitting me, right?
So I say to Apollyon, I think he's saying we are in the right building, but I could be wrong. Can I do like an insight check to see if he meant like we're in the right place and it's over on this side of the building, or if he actually meant you're in the right place, come follow us?
Go ahead and make an insight check.
If these guys were in a van with candy, you'd say, yeah, let's jump in the van.
Absolutely. Insight.
Yeah, I would. Who doesn't like candy?
Yeah, and vans.
So with a 12, I'm going to give you, they definitely did not mean follow them. In fact, as they're walking out the door, all four of them give you looks like, talk to us again and we're going to kill you. But you're also not, you're not sure if they meant here in the tavern. That seems weird to you. That doesn't make a whole lot of sense.
Are these walls right here, or is this like?
Yeah,
this?
these
Or
are
is that-
walls. Those are walls. Those
Okay.
are the stone walls of the tavern itself. Can you?
All right. I'm gonna say to Apollyon, I think he means that in a dwarven city, with the forge constantly being pounded, that we are in the right place to acquire the weapons you request.
I don't know. Those guys were kind of shady. Maybe I should go after
Yeah,
them.
absolutely. Maybe we'll save that for another day,
I'll
sport.
step outside the door and look around.
You know, Apollyon has the drow, the devil on his shoulder, but he's also supposed to have blood, the angel on the other shoulder. Where the hell is the angel here?
Apollyon, you step out of the door, and as you do, you see that town crier, who just stops and looks at you as you burst out the door. Make a perception check.
Can't actually see any.
At all?
Well, just in that area.
Well, I mean, they're...
It's a 5.
Oh. There, you should have vision now. Does anybody else not have vision?
Oh, I can see.
I can see.
Okay. Yeah, I could only see like the light that the door was making outside, and I couldn't see like the rest of the.
That is so
I
weird.
see everything.
Yeah, you might be looking off somebody else's vision somehow.
It'd be like a mix-up for when he had the other character, and it just something didn't get fixed or something.
Yeah, anything's possible with role
Some
playing.
simple
I don't
mistake.
see anything, both because of my role and both because there's here.
Okay, yeah, so, but can you now see, like, the paths and the buildings and...
Yes.
Okay.
Oh, I do see a guy way down here.
Not with a 5, you don't.
Okay.
Well, so looking down, you step outside and burst through the doors, and as you do, that town crier just kind of stops and like, what the fuck? As you step out, you look around left and right, and with a 5 perception, you do not see the quartet that you had just been talking to. You see the streets, you see them cleared down left and right, and to your right, farther down, you do see the marketplace, or at least several tents. So, where'd they go? You're not entirely sure.
I knew they were suspicious. Well, I suppose I can find a blacksmith myself. I'll go back inside and join up with the others.
Why don't you come back and sit down, bud? We don't need to be chasing just everybody that looks strange, or we never get a moment's peace.
Nobody ever wants to be friends with me anymore.
Well, it's not that. It's you were very brash. I think you.
I don't know the meaning of that word.
He literally doesn't.
So,
You're very
question.
bold. Scare people.
do you want Blood to go ask some of his friends? Or do we want to go find Enclave? Didn't they say they had a building in the city or something? And go see them and maybe unload all of these heads, because I'm kind of carrying a bunch.
I wonder, do we have to? I think we have to go back to Valena to do that.
Vulcan's like, heads? You got heads?
Oh,
what are you
shit.
talking about?
Alright, they're not of people, don't worry. We
Some
work.
of them-
Dragonfly, you carry around people's heads?
You'll be like, no. The group we work for, they asked us to collect creature heads or specimens. So, I mean, are there actual? I mean, did we take any of those weak people's heads, or did we take like one to figure out what happened to them?
I have 9 pale humanoid heads.
God
I don't
damn.
know where from.
Yeah. Don't pull out. Don't pull any.
And I'm gonna cross giant ears. And we even have some.
Oh my god, you have... That is the biggest ear I've ever seen!
Come
And
across all manner of creature.
and from behind you, you just hear this loud gasp as Katie,
Put it away, put it away, put it away, put it away.
the dwarven waitress, was walking over to ask you all if you wanted more drinks with your food, and she just stops as you have this gigantic ear half pulled out of a bag on your lap, Eloise, because you have the bag of colding on your lap there. And you have this big, gigantic blue ear pulled out, and she's just like, "Oh my gosh, that is that an ear?" And the moment she says that, like, more people are starting to turn and stare at you all.
You guys know Matt has challenges for us. We don't have to create our own challenges on a minute-by-minute basis.
Tried to kill us.
Step right up, Miss Eloise, the wizard. Watch her pull an ear out of a bag.
Wizard, I'm a druid.
As Apollyon just yells this
I
to
don't know
everybody. So the scene is Apollyon just yelled it to the entire audience of the bar with a 23 performance. He's standing up on his stool, proclaiming wildly, "Come see this wizard and the bag she can pull out of her ear. She can pull an ear out of." And Eloise just yells out, "But I am a druid!"
I said, "Oh, don't worry about it first. It's just harmless, man."
and
Ollie?
the
You wanna see
entire
the whole show, you just have to take a flyer.
Ollie? When we're
That's why
drawing
I took the ear
attention.
away and I out Mitchell fires.
Holy fuck! They're like,
and oh my god! So go ahead You know what? With Apollyon's 23 performance, Eloise is just yanks flyers out, and the entire bar is like, they're all staring at you, first confused, but then like, oh, this is a performance, and like even the bard playing music in the corner has turned off their music and are now like kind of walking towards you, interested, like, what the hell is all this going on? And people begin crowding around you, wanting to see the strange thing that you're about to pull out and perform for them all.
That's me trying to hide my embarrassment. I'm not doing a great job, Matt.
You're really not, with an 11 deception. Liam is turned bright red. His ears are aflamed, and he tries to pull his little hat down over his face a bit more, which, that reminds me, your hair is still pink.
Purple, but it's
Purple,
probably starting
whatever.
to fade, yeah.
Purple, whatever. It's only been a few days since you dyed it. No, it's not fading.
Yeah,
at
but
all.
you know how color is. It's never full color like a day after you dye it.
That's when you wash your hair a lot.
Yeah, that's if you wash your hair a lot. If you don't, which I guarantee Liam hasn't, no, you're still vibrant purple. But everyone seems to be crowding around you now. More people from the bar, and a lot of dwarves are like, what you got over there, lassie? Let's see this neat trick you're talking about.
I'm gonna like kind of latch onto Voken's shoulder to help me stand up onto my chair, and I'm gonna hold up the haversack of holding, and I'm gonna say, it's really a simple piece of magic, this bag here, and you can find your own at my friend's shop, and here you go. And I'm gonna throw out a bunch of flyers.
And you just launch a bunch of flyers out into the air. It's massively confusing what's going on right now. Flyers just fly out into the air. People are grabbing them like, what the heck is this? And they're grabbing them and they're looking at them all. And lots of clamors going on. People questioning you, asking what it is you're selling. And
I'm gonna get over to Voken and Eloise here and whisper to them, that was a great distraction. Let's get outside.
And with that, I'll use prestidigitation to make a bunch of like smoke and sparks and stuff, and we'll all slip out the back door.
well, I mean, you can't make a fog cloud out of prestidigitation, but a little bit of smoke comes swirling out of Apollion's nose and up into the air, and sparks kind of start flaring out around him, silhouetting him a little bit in not quite fairy fire, but almost, as he's doing this. Now,
Apollyon, do you realize at an exponential rate, every decision you've made has drawn more and more attention to us? Just asking if that's your goal. That's all I want to know.
We passed out the flyers.
How many flyers was I able to throw out?
You probably threw out about 30 flyers, and some of them are on the ground at this point and being trod on, but some people are actually holding them and looking at them and like, Mitchell's, what is this?
I would think if Mitchell recognizes a skyride as bonus points, this would be bonus points also. But let's move on with the story. Are we moving outside, or are you guys staying in there?
Oh, you're still crowded by a bunch of people asking about magic and stuff like that.
I did a Scooby-Doo and went outside.
And Apollyon just goes, still with the sparks flashing and smoke coming out of his nose, he just goes running out, and runs outside.
So Apollyon's actually a Minotaur version of Zoidberg.
A little bit.
That's right.
But your group, Apollyon, Blood, Veil, Liam, you're all running outside. Eloise, you're still standing on the stool, looking very pleased with yourself by how many flyers you're able to distribute. Voken and Jortha, these poor people, Jortha's just like,
fortunate to have flavor in their lives.
Jortha, who watched her monastery get slaughtered, the town around her further so, and is now sitting in a tavern drinking with a bunch of people who just called a ton of attention to themselves and arbitrarily started throwing flyers at people. And she looks at Voken, Voken looks at her, and she's just like, and these are the people who's gonna save my town. And she just drinks her tankard once again.
I'm gonna grab Voken's hand, and I'm just gonna start dragging him out with me. I'm gonna try and make my way out. I figure if I'm pushing / pulling a giant Goliath, that people are gonna kind of have to move out of our way.
Oh yeah, they do make a little bit of a path for you as you're pulling him along, and he's just like, but Dragonfly, I'm not quite done. And you just hear him protesting as he's being drug outside by Eloise. Jortha, left by herself, just shakes her head and finishes her beer. But the rest of you do make it outside. And
I'm gonna show Voken the little satchel that has all the flyers in it, and I'm just gonna tell him about the contract and how I have to get rid of all these flyers.
Wondering when you were gonna tell him about that.
But I'm also gonna show him my really cool my really cool crap, what are they called?
bracers.
What?
Bracers.
Bracers, yes, thank you. Gonna show him the bracers I was able to get.
And the bracers are beautiful, and Voken's kind of like, oh wow, those are very nice, Dragonfly, but you signed a contract to put out a bunch of flyers too. That's not a horrible way to get it, I suppose. Just how many you got left to do?
It's kind of like a tiny little bag of holding. I can't really see how many there are in here. I just keep pulling them out
320.
until...
Oh, well, just don't put that in that bag of holding you got with that ear, because that could be catastrophic.
Oh no, you don't mix like infinite holes with another infinite hole. That just sounds like...
Oh yeah, definitely, don't do that.
I mean, I could always just flip this thing in this little pouch inside out, and then I can count all the flyers that are left.
Maybe not do that, Dragonfly. I mean, we don't want a bunch of flies all over the ground now.
Yeah, I guess so.
Y'all are kind of a lot. And he's looking at Apollyon directly as he's saying that. Then he switches his gaze to Veil, and he just says once again, kind of a lot. Like, I'm not gonna lie, y'all are reminding me why I decided to live alone.
Just gonna run over to Apollyon and hug his arm and just, I'm so glad you're back, Apple. I missed you so much.
Oh, is it not the great wizard Eloise?
Apple, Veil is the wizard. I'm a druid.
Druid? What's up? Oh, nature stuff.
Yeah.
Alright, yeah, you keep on keeping on.
Aye.
Are you fucking kidding me?
Oh, the trucker hat. I love
That's
it.
what we've been doing.
So now what are we doing? Where are we going?
I assume Blood was going to lead us to wherever those syndicate signs go, but if, as you brought up, we want to get rid of these heads and not show them off to every townsfolk we come across, then we might want to get to the conclave. So I put it to you.
So what are you doing?
Fine either way, I guess. It's just what everyone wants to do.
Honestly, after that display, I couldn't be more eager to get rid of these body parts.
Let's head to the conclave. Get our
Yeah,
payday.
I vote conclave as well. That way, you have some coin for Apollyon to get the axe he wants, and maybe we could check out some other things that they have here for sale.
Yeah, we can find out where a good blacksmith is, and maybe they'll know more of what's going on with that whole attempted murder thing. We could get lots of
I
information.
could almost guarantee that every single person in this city is a good blacksmith.
Now that's just
Great.
racist.
That's
Oh, but we could also see if there's anyone who makes magic stuff, kind of like Mitchell. That way I can give Vale back his goggles, and I can get my own.
Oh,
That's
indeed, that sounds like a great
dwarfism.
idea.
hey, you know
Not all dwarf.
Dwarfism.
What-
You dwarfist.
now that we have discussed in our private chats, is that somebody? Would that have been the name that the governor of Weston gave them, or is that just something you came up with later, like with
Wait.
blood? No, you know the name with Bucklerall.
No, that's a gnome, not a halfling.
Oh, okay. No, would that have been the guy that the governor
Wow,
had
that's
told
racist.
Blood about?
Yep,
or...
that was the gnomon artificer who the tinkerer who specializes in making small gadgets and things of that nature.
I was told about this fascinating gnome tinkerer here. Got a very unique name, but his name is Fucklerall. Last name. I'd like to find him if we have time, but I'm
all.
I'm
we have
willing
as much
to.
time as we.
Well, let's remember we have a town in crisis.
Yeah, I
So
want
the
Desi
conclave.
back.
Go to the conclave for more information and depositing of our body parts.
Maybe we should ask Desi when we get back. I'm not sure if trees have gender.
Of course they do.
Some do.
Trees are a little bit of both, Eloise.
Avocado trees have genders.
That's true, they do.
I'll ask Desi the next time we're there.
You do that, Dragonfly. You do that. But where are you wanting to head first? What?
Well,
When
I
we're
guess
in
it's-
Conclave, right?
We'll head to the conclave, but I guess that crit that I threw out at the end of last to look for those marks, he'll be looking for him as they go.
You want to go alone? Do some serious rogue shit?
No, he can go as a group.
I'm
Well,
just
what's the
saying,
point?
if it could speed up our time having to us all go to two spots, or having us split the party and send the rogue in to do rogue shit. Meet up after.
Oh, you could meet Bud's rogue friend. You could meet your little friend.
Eloise, can you still cast Shadow Trace?
No,
Um,
that understand.
Not today. I didn't prepare it.
Okay, because I was gonna say that would be the best.
Blood doesn't need it. But
Well, I was kind of thinking if it were to be Blood as the rogues, rogues in my experience, they don't care for anyone but other rogues.
Oh,
kind of racist, but very.
Well, a rogue's not
Yeah,
exactly a
rogue
race now,
is-
is it?
Yeah,
It's
coming
rogue
from
a
the guy
race
who
now?
couldn't-
When
You
did that
bastard.
happen?
All right, Drow.
Couldn't tell the
Nobody
difference
asked
between,
you.
okay. Hold on a second. Vale, what are you saying?
halfling and I said, coming from the guy who couldn't tell the difference between a gnome and a halfling.
I couldn't
Yes.
remember, and that was in our chat because he hasn't met him before.
No, I know. I was teasing you.
I can go, look for answers on my own. That's fine.
I think we should stick together.
I mean, I don't know where I'm going. I mean, I wouldn't be. I'll have to find you later if I do.
Well, why don't we, on our way to the conclave, you can continue to look for your signs, and then if you pick something up, you pick something up. Otherwise, let's just head to the conclave.
Okay, sounds
Final
like
answer.
sounds like you're heading to the conclave first. So, with Blood from a Stone keeping his eyes out, the rest of you start asking around because really you have no idea where the conclave is. Go ahead and make an investigation check for me, somebody. With advantage because you're all working together.
And while that's happening, I'm just gonna tell Vulcan.
Oh
Um,
shit, that's a 16 with a plus 12.
Gonna tell Vulcan. Just so you know, the people at the conclave, at least the ones in Velena, them, especially the higher up people, they're not very nice. They're very focused. They're just very focused on what they want and not so much the people. Because the last time one of our party members died, and he didn't even ask about if we were all okay. He just asked about what we found, and it was
No, they were quite concerned about Belmont. They actually, that was, yeah.
not Sashanel,
Well, can't
and he
expect
was the head
absolutely
guy.
Now, wasn't Sashanel the?
Well, to be fair,
He was the
maybe
one who
he-
hired us.
Yeah,
maybe he knew they had a dime to bring him back, and so he didn't see it as a loss, but just a temporary vacation.
Should have still been concerned with welfare of the people and not just the stuff.
You're absolutely correct. However, he doesn't represent the entire organization. You should judge each person individually.
Anyways, just be prepared in case these people are also assholes.
Agreed.
Good to know, Dragonfly. I'll keep that. I think I'm just gonna stay back and watch your backs while we're doing this. I don't really know these people, so I'll let y'all do the talking, and I'm just gonna hang out.
Vale excitedly chimes in. I don't believe you're allowed in there. It's conclave members only. Sorry.
Really?
I believe it's before we were conclave members, we were allowed in.
We will be able to get him at least in, and he can may not be see the inner workings.
Yeah, he'll be in the waiting room.
Well, that's
I
fine.
remember you enjoying the library quite a bit, and that seemed like the waiting room to me.
Oh, love that place. I hope they have one here.
I think that's actually a great place to go on break. So we'll be back in about 10 minutes, folks, and when we return, we'll see what happens with Faab Five at the Erudite Conclave. Stay tuned. Howdy, everybody. We are back. And when we last left off, the Faab Five had just drew a ton of attention to themselves and confused a lot of people inside the Wandering Tankard Inn, and then just abruptly left and said, "Peace out, everybody," and decided to head to the Erudite Conclave instead.
I gave that waitress enough tips. I don't feel bad.
No, you shouldn't. She absolutely had a great time serving you all, and now she has a story to tell. But, Faab Five, with your 16 investigation, it takes you probably about 20 minutes of asking around before someone says, "Oh yeah, I know where the conclave is. Just take this road down here and make a left and go that way for about 2 hours and then make another right and you'll see the building. It's not that hard."
And the city's huge.
The city is huge. You gotta get this idea in your head. This is a metropolis in medieval times.
So we're looking at 3:30, 4 o'clock-ish by the time we get there?
Yeah, thereabouts. Probably about 4 o'clock, right when you get to the conclave. And the conclave, like every other one you've been to, well, you've only been to one before, but as you walk towards it, you stop and you stare at it for a moment because it stands out in the town. Most of the buildings are gray stone, very, very finely crafted, and most of them fit together almost seamlessly. You have to look close to see the seams between them. This building, on the other hand, is 10 stories tall, made of the same damn tan stone that the one in Port Valena had. It looks identical, in fact, with that one ring of windows at the top level, the rest of it completely bare, that same gray stone. The one difference is, in the last place you were at, they actually had a garden in front of it. This one does not. There is a mushroom field in a little bit of ways around very tall statues of dwarves in the front of their grounds. You walk up to the gate, and like the last one you've been to, the entire circumference of its grounds is rounded by an iron fence system. The gate itself is protected by 2 dwarves in tan armor trimmed in green, and when you stop, you just have to show them your tattoo and then identify yourselves as members of the conclave, and they let you in.
Cool. What about those in our party without tats?
Well, those
Show them my contract.
honestly, they don't question you beyond they give you a and who are they, and you just like, yeah, they're with us, and
Okay.
they let them pass. Not very difficult to get into when you're a member. And you can identify all of them as subcontractors if you want to, and they don't mind you coming in.
For shizzle, do they take us to a room to wait for someone to join us like last time?
Oh, yeah. You walk into the conclave and identify yourselves to the front desk clerk, who is another dwarf, a female this time, reading a book. And she does a very similar thing that happened the first time you were there. She puts a hand to her ear, says something to herself. A few minutes later, she nods back and she says, "Oh, yes, absolutely. We will have one of our scribes be with you. One moment." And after about 10 minutes of waiting in the waiting room, another conclave monk appears from behind the door and leads you all into a series of rooms with a table. You all kind of sit down and you wait for another 20-30 minutes or so.
I'd like to think that while we're waiting, we repeat the status of last time and pulling all the heads out, and I'm going to start organizing them in order of when we found them and when we killed them, and then Blake can do his breakdown all over again. This will be fun.
I don't think they know our contract was involved heads yet.
Yeah, well, the last one told us to do this, and as far as we know, the conclave collects heads.
So first there's going to be 2 griffin heads, and then a note verified by the captain of the ship that 2 other griffins fell in the water and 1 exploded in fire. And then there's going to be 6 harpy heads, and then the lamia head, and then 4 chul heads, and then 4 sahagin, and then 1 lion chimera, and 1 ram chimera, and 1 dragon chimera head, and then a giant shark head, and then 2 hunter shark heads, 2 Moreau heads, 9 pale human heads, 2 aberration tentacles / eye stalks that were liquefying. I don't know what we find at this point. 6 vials of aberration sludge, 2 winter wolf pelts, although I think we're keeping those, 4 winter wolf heads, and 4 frost giant ears. And they're all the left ear. They're all left eared.
Wow.
I kept notes.
Yeah, you
Hey,
did.
now make sure they count the chimeras as 3 monsters.
Now the lamia, we actually have the whole body of, if I remember right.
Yeah, but no, because I guess the body would have been in Vale's bag.
Oh,
It-
is that
yeah,
it? We
that's
should-
actually in
okay.
his. Yeah, the lamia's body is in the portable hole.
Gotcha.
Are you just out of curiosity? It's entirely up to you. Are you pulling that out as well?
Oh, it's gotta stink some fucking.
I can't imagine we'd used it for any other situation, and it's only gonna get worse.
Well, then let's keep it in the bag where the smell don't come. You gotta think, we took that at the, it's been a while.
Alright, so that'll just be fodder for the zombies in there, whatever.
Yeah, let them snack on it.
Yeah, that's fine.
Oh yeah, and there's lamb blood and
Oh.
Apollyon fish are in here.
Oh, yeah, that's right. 300 gold piece fish.
Is that something we could exchange here, or would we need
We
to like,
probably
go
would.
into
We'd
town
probably
or
have
something?
enough place.
Yeah, I got one that you can create a potion of flying from the liver. That's a cool one.
Yes, we have the flying fish.
Okay.
Heck yeah.
So Jortha and Vulcan are just staring at your group as you're pulling out these heads. Like you explain to them why you collected these, and that they're in a bag of colding to preserve them. And the conclave does something to them. You're not entirely sure what, but they use them for something. And then you pull out that rotting carcass of the lamia.
We left that.
Oh, you left that one in there?
Yeah,
Okay.
'cause it's gonna just stink. That's all it's gonna do. That's
Yeah,
why
it
Leaving
absolutely
in,
does stink.
In Vale's
we're
hole.
just keep it full so it
Okay.
doesn't come out.
Hey there, Dios. How you doing?
Hi, Diosis.
So with all these heads and ears and other body parts lined up along one of the walls, Vulcan and Jortha are both just like... You know that look that someone gives when they're completely repulsed by what you're doing, but they also know that saying anything about it is kind of pointless? You know that look? That's the look on Jortha's face right now. And a little bit on Vulcan's as well. And he's not too sure about all this. You can definitely tell. Eloise, like, you've seen him handle a lot of shit in your life. And he's always taken it with a straight face and a little bit of a smile. And there's still that smile on his face and a little bit of concern, but you also get the idea that he's not thrilled about any of this. And
everything here tried to kill us.
I understand that, Dragonfly. I get that, darling. I just, you know, maybe things are different than when they were in my time. When I was
outside our home is so dangerous.
It's a little weird. I'm not gonna lie, Dragonfly. Now, when I went adventuring in my youth, things were a little bit different, and people didn't, collect the heads of everything. They collect pelts sometimes when you were being paid for. So, I mean, I guess I kind of get it, but I don't know, Dragonfly.
I don't know. They said that they're gonna pay us for every head that we bring. So we bring the heads of the things that try to kill us.
As well, they should. And you all kind of stop and turn to see a dwarf walk in. Very short for a dwarf. Like, he's taller than a halfling, but he's definitely short for his own species. He's wearing the long, flowing tan robes and trimmed in green that most of the Conclave members always wear. And he stops and he says, "And we do absolutely appreciate all of our field researchers bringing in specimens." Then he kind of burps a little bit as he's talking. "Well, you must be the Faab Five I've heard so much about. The Conclave in Port Valena speaks highly of you."
I thought he was just gonna say "speaks of you."
You definitely detected that upward inflection of his words when he said that. Tomas Rothen speaks highly of you, at least, and I'm well acquainted with his antics, so he kind
Have
of
you
just...
seen Tomas? Is he alright? Did he make it?
Uh,
We separated. Kind of
oh, and he's
He
kind of
was-
he's looking around at your group now, and he just said, "I assume Tomas was with you all. You're..."
No, see, we found
Well-
the dream witness and had a bunch of these up, and so Tomas gave Tomas our cart so that he could get the people to safety because we were gonna head to Bradfordshire first.
Oh, no, Tomas has not made it here yet.
You have the ability to send him a message.
I do actually. Yeah. Oh, he looks around at everybody once again and says, hold on for one moment, please." And he's kind of takes a step backwards as you see his lips moving. Veil, you recognize this. You've seen Tomas do it before. It's the incantation for the sending spell.
Yep.
He holds an ear to one side. Well, about that. The dwarf looks back at everyone. Kind of has a scowl on his face. Tomas is currently a day outside of Weston.
I thought you were about to say he didn't respond. I was gonna be so pissed.
I go over to the dwarf's shoulder and I kind of go, "Hi, Tomas!" in his ear.
And you just scream it in his ear, and he's, "Ah, God!" Don't-
Screaming, but
That was a
Say,
long
Eloise,
pause,
that's-
man.
I
Doesn't
know.
work like that.
No, I'm sorry, my dear. It does not work like that. Ow! And he's kind of like ringing his finger in his ear a little bit. Just,
that loud?
well, you said it loud enough that it was uncomfortable for him. And Tomas says that you have completed your mission, and he is currently bringing the people he had found and you had found to Morag. He's about a day outside of Weston. He says he lost 3 of them to an attack, but most of them are still whole and hale, and he says, and I quote, "Horses are okay. Saddles aren't great. I need a beer."
Well, that's just a damn shame. Who would attack a cart with bunch of sickly looking people? That's just wrong.
Could have been any animals.
Unfortunately, he didn't say much more than that, but he really couldn't. It's only 25 characters, and it's a little difficult. But, well,
I'm gonna grab the dwarf's hand and I'm gonna drag him over to the Lamia head. And I'm gonna say, "So this one, she could cast magic and she cursed one of us, but don't worry, we fixed it. But yeah, watch out for her."
like, you just drag this very confused dwarf over to the Lamia head, and a Lamia, you say? Well, let's start at the beginning. Please sit down, everybody.
Oh, if we're gonna start at the beginning, we need to start at the griffin heads.
I don't think that's necessarily what he means.
So, as the last time you were here, the senior researcher, senior archivist, sits down at the head of the table and pulls out a very large book from seemingly nowhere, and a quill appears in his hand, and he sets the quill upon the parchment and says, Now, we have records of your group up until you left Port Valena aboard the... God damn it, I'm blanking on the name of the ship now. But anyway, Fairwinds. I think that might have been it. Anyway.
You're lucky you didn't wait for me to come up with a name.
Jeremy, if you got to get out of here tonight, that's fine. We understand. Have a good evening, bud.
All right, love you guys. Bye.
Yeah,
Peace.
good night. At which point, a fireball just explodes and Necthros Veil dies in a horrible accident.
And he cremated himself with it.
He cremated himself, and everyone along with him. No, it's fine.
No.
But anyway, the senior archivist sits down as Quill begins to scribble along the book as you all speak, and you sit in for the next most of the day. Honestly, it probably takes you all to talk about from leaving Port Valena aboard the ship, fighting harpies and other creatures of that nature along your voyage, the masquerade ball, and how you all worked with Tomas to scope out the place, how they knew who you were, those of you who are visible, and how they sprung a trap, but you, or how they wanted to spring a trap, but you guys all reversed it, charming the man Reork, getting him to bring some of you upstairs, how the Lamia seemed to be watching this whole thing and burst in on the situation, and you had been forced to kill her, and the stone, or the clay golem that Reork had as a bodyguard. How Reork had escaped, how you all fled and used the information you found in his mansion to locate the island of the Dream Witness. How you and Tomas went out onto the island, started killing the worshippers there, made your way into the temple, and there fought a being strange and twisted.
At which point I bring out the 6 vials of sludge plus the 2 tentacle eye stalks.
Well, you reach to your bag and pull them out, and you do pull out the vials, but the vials are empty. Not a thing is in them whatsoever. And you kind of uncork one and dump it, and not a thing is in there. You reach in looking for the tentacles, but your hands grasp nothing. You reach it, actually no, I'm sorry, you do pull something out when you reach in there. You reach in thinking about the tentacles, and what comes out is a little bit of sand, black, in your hand. But once you pull it out and open it up, those 2 dissolve into space and disappear in front of you.
Well, we had sludge.
Oh, I guarantee you the dumb thing is real. Or it was.
Can you be lazy? Yes, be lazy. Okay. Give me 1 second, folks. What's up?
Yeah, killed Vale.
Go for it.
Got him back though.
Well, a long time ago, way back in history.
Sorry about that. My wife needed to ask me a question. So anyway, after you bring out the vials of what you thought was going to be the Dream Witness, but ends up being nothing but dissolved flesh, you continue on explaining about climbing over the mountain to Bradfordshire. You tell them about what you found there. You tell them about the wraiths, but I imagine, Liam, you probably don't give all the details?
No, probably not all the details. I'm sure Jortha would give it away if I tried to even slide it in a bit of a lie, so I'll just give as many facts without giving a reason.
Jortha, while she's watching this whole thing and listening, her eyes are directly at you, Liam.
Yeah.
Vulcan, for his part, has been remaining silent, but every so often he asks a question that he deems pertinent, such as, "What do you?" When you start talking about the Dream Witness, the first thing he asks is, "What do you think that thing actually was? What kind of creature was it?"
I don't know. It had a big giant eyeball and then these little tentacles, little eyeballs, but then it was also kind of like a big giant fish squid thing.
This is nothing like I've ever seen before. Based on what we know right now, it's either very old or extremely magical if it were to turn to dust and nothingness upon death. Or, and, I believe that thing was the reason for a lot of beings being enslaved. That seemed to be what the journals intonated at, is that they would take people there and it would subjugate them somehow, permanently.
Don't we have a list of names?
Yeah, I'm sure if we can throw
What
down the.
in his book, didn't he? Or
Yeah, do we still have that on us?
Have it.
well, I mean,
I can't imagine. I don't remember us getting rid of it. So unless Matt says someone pickpocketed that journal from us, then yeah, we still got
Well,
it on
you
us, right?
We wouldn't. I still had it like when he was taking notes in it, but
I mean, you guys have all the handouts and flyers and things that I give you, so
Yeah, Vale and Tomas were working on deciphering certain parts of it. So it was going back and forth. I think Vale had it last, though.
I mean, I've got an initiate list. Monster.
Yeah, there is an initiate list, and that has quite a few different names on it.
I guess those are the names that for the people that were there, right?
Yeah, that's better in their hands than ours.
Well, what I'll remind you is that's the list that you had found in Reork's office. You at the time you thought you were saying that it's the list of people that you had found in Reork's mansion.
Like,
Gotcha.
Yes.
Yeah. But you do hand that over as well. And the man scans the list of names, and the list of names does have some interesting things on it.
We can also just the people that we know, at least also because we've got Grovajar's book, and that had names and stuff listed in it as well. That I mean, they already probably know about all that stuff, but those are important dreamer people. Oh yeah, we could tell them it's like there might be hundreds of people like missing person cases. But even then, I don't even think they're actually missing. I think they take them, they put them back into society after they change them. Because these people are changed. They are no longer, their personalities have been altered. They are very devout towards this dreamer.
Yeah, and then there's the race in Bradfordshire.
Indeed.
Which is an ongoing acute problem that needs to be dealt with.
That name Bradfordshire, it's ringing a bell. I think I saw a report about a Bradfordshire, but I must confess it's escaping me. I'll have to go look.
You will most likely be hearing more about Bradfordshire rather soon. We brought quite a few refugees with us.
But we also left a bunch of people to fight to protect the temple that they had there, and we need to get back to help them.
How do we do?
One step at a time, baby.
And Jortha's just kind of staring at you, Liam. And you can't help but wonder why she's holding her tongue right now, but I think she stays quiet, watching.
She probably thinks she doesn't want to do what we were doing in the bar and exasperate whatever's going on right now. But she's got something to say later on, I'm sure.
But we thought that the refugees were safe here, so we brought them. But then we heard about some attempted murder or something. I mean, are they going to be safe here?
I mean, murders happen in large cities every day. What murder are you talking about specifically?
I don't know, the one that the crier was talking about, an attempted
Yeah.
murder.
There were apparently multiple murders in Castle District. About 3 weeks ago, it just stopped after an attempted.
I did hear about this. The Red Guard are looking for a murderer who has escaped after his last attempt failed. I did hear something about that guy, and he's kind of Presslor. That's the name.
He's the victim, or was he
the victim who escaped? If memory serves, there was an individual whose mansion was attacked about 3 weeks ago, give or take.
That's good that he got, killed.
Yeah, I'm remembering now that I received a report about it. The Presslor escaped and fled.
He fled. Well, he's no longer in Morag. That's good. He's probably safe somewhere. That's great.
I jumped to conclude.
The Red Guard has been searching for him as well, and has not been able to find him. As far as
Well, if the good guys can't find him, that means hopefully that the bad guys can't either. So maybe he's a good hider.
and
Yeah,
what is
I
the
already found him.
what is an attempted murderer have to do with the dream?
He's one. If that's all.
She jumps to quite easily.
Hey.
Make a deception check. Blood from a stone.
She jumps to conclude. I mean, she does.
I do.
That's not normal.
That doesn't mean she'd agree with that, but yeah.
That's 21.
He looks dubious at you, but seems to accept your word that it's just Eloise being jumping to
Eloise?
conclude. Because it was you that was jumping to conclusions.
About the refugee. She's
So
getting a bit
what you're
lost.
saying is refugees should be safe because this happened 3 weeks ago and they're probably nowhere near here anymore, right?
How about we conclude our business?
Yeah, if you like. The authorities have been searching for both the murderer and Presslor for 3 weeks now, and no sign of either of them have come up. As far as anyone knows, Presslor hasn't left the city. He must be in hiding somewhere, but the Red Guard hasn't been able to find him, nor any sign of this shadowy, gigantic figure that was seen.
Hopefully he can stay hidden from whatever is trying to get him, because nobody wants to be dead.
But I'm sure your refugees, wherever they currently are, aren't in any danger of that.
Good. I mean, after the race and everything, they really just need.
Now, once you're done giving the information that everything you've been doing so far, he does begin to take a stock of all the heads laid out and what you had collected. He looks at the note that you all gave from the captain saying from the extra 2 harpies.
Extra 3 griffins, because
3
2 fell
griffins,
into the
that's it.
water and 1 exploded in fire.
He
So
takes
says my notes.
he looks at the note that the captain signed, and he says, "Now, we don't normally accept things of this nature. The reason we collect these heads is we study them. We catalog where they're sighted so that our records are complete, and we know not only of what species you fight, but also the evolutionary changes that are made while these are happening. That's why we take these heads and that we pay for. Now, while a note is well and good, and we're not doubting your claim,
Perfectly. Don't need the extra 9 feet.
Rogue is not pushing for more gold. Play your character, man. Come on.
You're gonna really love.
If you're not making a big deal, I'm not gonna make a big deal. If you sure, I guess I'm. Yeah.
Gonna pull out got stuff down in Witness's area. He's gonna pull out the 100 platinum share, going to the conclave, putting that in, giving it to.
Then, if I'm counting right, without the 1 griffins that we don't have heads for, if I count all 3 chimera heads as 1, and I don't count Dreamwood tentacles, that is. Oh, and if we can count all 4 frost giant ears, if they count as.
He says he will accept the frost giant ears as payment, as records, even though he doesn't really have a whole lot of use for them. Maybe the R&D people will have a use.
Were there 4 frost? I thought there were only 2 frost giants.
There are 2 frost giants.
Took all 4 ears.
We took all 4 ears. Okay.
They had a bunch of wolves.
They did have a bunch of wolves.
The 4 winter wolf heads.
Okay, so
In which case, it would be 38 creatures.
38
if my count is
creatures
correct.
in total.
Jiminy.
Okay, so I pulled out the contract from the Iridite Conclave that I literally haven't looked at in months. So I didn't.
Neither have we.
No, so
Well,
I had no
I've got
idea.
it up now.
I had no idea. But it's 5 gold pieces per day with an additional incentive of 25 gold pieces for each monster slain. I do remember Veil talked that up from 20 to 25.
He wanted to get more, but
Well,
like
because then we're each going to get
standard.
5 per head. Wanted to make it divisible by 5.
Yeah. So it's 25 gold per head. How many total was that you had?
38.
it was
God
25 always.
What article does it describe payment?
Down at 2.5.
So 38 heads, but with 25 or 38 heads at 25 gold per head comes up to 950 gold pieces. Let's
950 per person
No, total.
total. Okay.
Let's see. Seeing if there's anything else that
190. But then there's the 5 per person day.
Yeah, 5 per person per day. I'm trying to figure out.
That's the thing we want. How many days is it?
Let's see. You left on the 14th of Bellantine, and it is currently the 13th of Faustgra, so it's almost been a month.
Time flies when you're having fun.
So yeah, you left Port Valena a little under, not quite a full month. That's a 30. So, besides that, each of you gained an additional 150 gold.
Math, ladies and gentlemen, the one thing that slows the game down the most.
Indeed. So, everyone got 190 gold pieces each from the heads, and another 150 gold pieces from just your work, from just doing it, for basically being gone for a month and traveling. So not a bad sum overall when you consider the economy in D&D. But
economy.
But there's other things you have to sell that have nothing to do with the Conclave.
Well, I guess I can all the heads from the back.
Decent little chunk of pocket change.
Indeed.
Yeah, I wonder how much Grood has on him.
So now that's just it for the contract itself. And after recording everything and looking over your contract, which you have to give him, and he very seriously examines it. He actually, takes a jeweler's lens out and looks at everyone's names and looks at the name of the archivist who signed it, and finally puts it down, says, "Very well. Contract has been served. We do await Tomas's final report. However, as researchers within the archive, we also expect that each one of you who are members has been taking notes of your own. Do you have those books as well?"
Yeah.
Oh, yes. I call out, take notes. I start reading off what I've got. First one says, oh, this is cool. Second one, made it. We met up with Tomas. That's all that says. Third one, killed the dreamer. Fourth one, made it to Bradfordshire. Wraiths. Fifth one, we're inside a mountain.
I gotta ask this whole time because I remember once you're not assuming that the pen is writing all of this for you, do you?
If I understand, I didn't understand the mechanics.
I just want to make sure.
I couldn't have done it underwater.
Yeah.
I have to write it down. That's not something I wouldn't have picked up on the very first time. So yeah, I wrote it all by hand, obviously, because that's the only way this works. Of course.
Yeah, it would be awesome if you had a quick pen. That'd be great.
Since that's how he described the thing taking our dictation in the last office, I made a leap and assumed that's how this was going to work, but I guess I didn't. It's not that cool.
It's still pretty cool.
It's very cool. Yeah.
You can bring a book from your fist. That's all.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. It's the only magic trick I have.
But that is Liam's book, and you produce the book and you hand it over, and the dwarf just kind of looks through it, and he gets to that last page that each page a sentence was written on, and he just looks at it and looks up at you and he says, "You can't be serious, right?"
Not so much of a writer. I'm more of a performer.
Doer.
Do any of you have notes?
Bloods will be more detailed, and he's also, because he and Tomas sat down and they tried to remember every detail from their.
Mm-hmm.
And so he's got as much as he possibly can. He even tried to do drawings. He's got as much of that as he possibly can in there with Tomas experience.
Apollyon will also have written down his vision that he got from the crown, written in there just recently in the last couple days.
Okay, very interesting. So if you pass him each your book, And when he has them, he sets them down on the table, and he says an incantation over each of them. And you see the 3 books shimmer a little bit. And he says, "These have been de-enchanted to your wrist pockets. We'll have new journals brought to you. Actually," and then he picks back up Liam's and tosses it to you and says, "You can keep this." I can't remember.
Excellent.
I think Veil had one, but I don't remember 100%. So
Vale, yeah, Vale had
that's
one
probably-
too.
I don't know.
Guess I'll look over at Eloise and go, I suppose I can write better if I choose to. Something that's important.
Eloise is just gonna blush a little.
Oh, and Vulcan sees this whole thing, and his eyes just narrow a little bit.
Subtle, whatever.
The passive of 20. Should I roll a perception check? See?
Oh,
It wasn't like I wasn't hidden across the table from me. It was everybody can hear it.
No. Wondered about her blushing.
Oh yeah, I assume her and Vulcan are the only one that read the letter. They're the only ones that would
So
know.
poor. I got a plus 10. God
Wow.
damn it.
Wow. Yeah, I think this exchange was a little bit above your head there, Blood. But for the dwarf stands up and says, "We'll have new journals brought to you soon, and your payment will be along, as well as somebody to collect the heads. We do await Tomas's final report, but the Conclave does appreciate your service. Our facilities are open to you if you need it. If there's anything else I can do, please let my assistant know." And he collects the books that you had, and he walks out the door. About 5 minutes later, another pair of Conclave members walks in and begins taking the heads and the body parts and everything, and collecting them as well. But apart,
Did you guys want the rest of the Lamia? Because I think we have it, but she's in a hole, so she might.
No. You don't want it. I trust.
and the
Oh.
the two monks are just like, huh? And
Just don't ask. Just take the preserved things. Trust me, better off.
once the heads are put away, the two retreat more than anything else. And a few minutes later, another young woman, a human this time, walks in and says, "Yes, the senior archivist put me at your disposal if you need anything else. How can I make your stay in the Conclave more enjoyable?"
Well, I know the best way to keep my friend Vale happy is if you had a nice big library for him to take a look at. Is there anything like that around here for him?
We are the Erudite Conclave. Of course we have a library.
And I didn't think about.
Well, I'm
getting
just trying to
research-
help him on his behalf what he'd be doing if you were here.
I didn't think about getting research topics ahead of time, but then again, are we really gonna do? Problem.
I mean, you do whatever you want, though Jortha's like, "Wait a minute, you want to read books right now?
No,
We're supposed to be finding the glaive."
No, I wouldn't do that, but like, I mean,
Vale might stay
Vale
behind
would.
while find
Well,
Blood's friends.
Vale's not here right now, so yeah, sure, he can go and look for another book on Orcish if we want to say he's piecing out for a little bit.
Can he
Orcish
look
or
for a
another
spell?
or
You know what?
something?
Yeah.
Actually, well, Blood would like a tonic, common or elvish dictionary. That would
A what kind of dictionary?
like draconic.
Draconic,
Like,
okay.
Draconic to either common or draconic to elvish, something one of the other languages. Something. Yeah, but draconic.
I'd like to inquire about borrowing an item for the remainder of our quest.
So that request kind of makes the woman give you a weird look. I believe you just ended a quest.
Oh no, it's far from over. Don't worry about that. All the details are in the contract.
Make a deception check, Apollyon.
Oh no!
She said, no, your contract is complete. The archivist told me that you are members of the conclave, so I can extend courtesies to you, but
Maybe
Could we
he's
have a look at our future options for quests that we might want to pursue?
might be talking about we're trying to help some other people out outside of the con.
Preferably something that's not underwater.
Jortha slams her hand on the table at this and screams, "Why are you asking about contracts and things like that? We're trying to save my town, and we're looking for a glaive. Now, I've dealt with this long enough, followed you all around. You said you knew where the glaive was," and she's going on and just screaming at the top of her lungs, red-faced at you, Liam, as this poor human woman, this archivist, is just standing there with her hands clutching the book in front of her like a shield. Like, what the fuck did I just walk into?
Alright, since you insist on doing this right now, there is nothing that's going to stop us from getting this glaive, number one. Number two is raising your voice and not keeping control of your emotions, something they teach back at the Blue Heron. Or do you get to just ignore that type of stuff when it's inconvenient for you? Number three, we're not the same person. We're going to go on and do other stuff after all of this. If I choose plans for the future, it's because I know we're going to succeed at what we're doing right now, and I'm not going to be stopped in my path. So if you have any further questions on getting the glaive, I suggest you hold them to yourself until we get to a more private location, if that's not too much to ask.
What kind of role do you want to make in this circumstance, Liam?
Persuasion. I didn't lie once. $24.
She looks at you and scowls, red-faced, and she says, "My only point is we should be finding the glaive now, not worrying about what you have to do later. Do that on your own time." What name did you use? Was it Chuck during that time?
Chuck, yeah.
Yeah. Chuck Lee, you ignorant bastard, slayer of hundreds of people. Find the goddamn glaive.
You understand we're 2 steps away.
Then
Step
make it 1. I don't care about your goddamn steps.
You know how we make it 1? We found out where these 2 went. If we get even remotely close to them, I'll raise the signal, and that's step 2. 2 steps. We need to find out where they went. Now, you want that to be 1 step? You find out where they went, and it's 1 step.
We're not going to find it in a room asking about other jobs.
You're absolutely correct. We don't want another job right now. We're currently contracted out otherwise, unless our contract says we can't do that. But we've got some personal business to take care of. No more business for the time being. Is that applicable to you, Jortha?
The door closing behind you all stops this entire conversation, as the woman who is waiting by the door, listening to this whole thing, just turned around and walked the fuck away. And the door locks behind you. Or behind her.
It locked? It locked us in?
Like, you hear the lock click. And she just kind of gives you a look and points at the door and says, "Well?"
Well,
Well,
it's your fault that they locked us in here. Maybe you should be the one to kick it open.
I'm just gonna go over to the door and just knock on it lightly. Hey, we'll leave now.
Knocking on the door. Liam, right now, you seem to have some sort of favor looking down on you for whatever fucking reason. I'm not entirely sure why, but the gods seem to be favoring you. As Jortha looks like she's about to go walk across the goddamn table and kick the door open, Eloise comes running up, knocks on the door, and Eloise, you hear from behind the door that same female voice saying, "I just wanted to give you all some time to compose yourself. If you need to return, you can make an appointment at the front desk, and we'll be happy to assist you then."
Looks not fair. We'll get out of your hair now.
And the door lock unlocks, and it opens, and the woman's head kind of pokes it in and says, "I feel like you all need to have some alone time, so summon me again if you need assistance later, but I think I'm just going to let you all do your thing." And she kind of just stands aside and's like, "Okay, go."
All right, on to step one. I guess to the syndicate signs.
Fine.
Yeah, that's we need to get a lead on the direction they took off, where they could possibly be hiding something. Your syndicate guys got fingers. We need to speed this up.
Go.
Okay, so blood from a stone. What specifically are you looking for?
Well,
As you all leave the conclave, Liam and Jortha are definitely like shooting daggers at one another.
just looking for.
Roll the 24 on persuasion.
And you stopped her from doing what she was about to do. I'm just saying what you got was the favorable response.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna make sure I'm standing in between them.
Probably. But you all do make your way out of the conclave, checking in with the front desk that you can come back if you need to. Because I don't want to like stop you from doing research or anything. Just Jortha's like, "Hey, what the fuck?" Anyway.
I knew we shouldn't have brought her. God, she's such a buzzkill.
Yeah, she absolutely is. But you, again, blood from a stone. What exactly are you looking for when you're looking for syndicate signs?
Well, I mean, he's looking for any of them, just base marks. But I mean, knowing this blow up that just happened, doesn't know if they're gonna fence that gold just yet. I guess if there was any, I guess within the syndicate, if there is a wing of it that deals in information, that he would probably know just based off the dealt with. Those are going to be the ones he's spies, particularly.
So a lot of the signs that you see as you're going through are more those subtle little marks that identify places that the syndicate tends to throw out throughout the city to give any member a good idea of what's where. Most of them are things like, this is a pawn shop. Here's a weapon shop. Here, this person's friendly to the syndicate. This person's not. Definitely don't bother with these people. Signs like wealthy, good mark, things of that nature. You can
every instinct. Take it a little bit. It's like, all right, let's keep going. We'll figure it later.
You also recognize those members of the syndicate that have the regular jobs in the city. The street urchins that pickpocket, the street toughs who go into shops and do the protection racket, things of that nature. As you make your way back to the central marketplace of the city, you are seeing quite a few signs directing you towards a fence. Somebody who buys and sells illicit goods. You do know with your background in the syndicate, a lot of the times the fence, the local who buys and sells for the syndicate, is usually the person who has their thumb on the pulse of the area. So if somebody knows something, chances are a fence would.
That's where we're going.
So I let you use that inspiration the last session to keep your eye out, and you rolled really fucking high. And you do recognize these things. Now, after walking around for a good time, it's getting close to closing time for most shops, around probably 6 o'clock or so, judging by what sense of time you have. You do make it towards a building, and you're looking through finding these signs, and you find a place near a nearby temple called Rogark's Used Wares. You spot a couple street urchins loitering near the front nonchalantly, but as you all draw closer, you realize that it's actually a pair of halflings, not children blood, and they're clearly the store's protection.
I don't want everybody.
So you kind of stop everybody in the square.
Yeah, it'll just be like, hang out near the church, watch your pockets. Liam, why don't you come?
I don't know if Jortha's gonna let me leave her eyesight, but I'm down.
Yeah, if
you all move, if you move Liam, she's walking right behind you.
Yeah, that's what
Right.
I would assume.
Oh,
Yeah, that
I mean,
works.
yeah, they'll take.
She's very friendly.
Well,
She's great at making.
Take sunshine and rainbows in. Why not?
Alright, me and
Rainbow
Vale
Bright
and
Go.
Vulcan
Okay, so Apollyon, you're hanging out by the fountain.
you know it.
Yup.
Maybe toss a couple coins in there.
So
Watch
the
your pockets.
this
Make a wish.
the central square that you all are in, there's a huge pillar, like when the stalactite and the stalagmite meets in the center. Imagine something like that, but on 10 times the scale. A huge pillar of stone that seems to have been made simply through the erosion of time, that comes down from the ceiling to the floor, where they've created a very large and beautiful fountain, pouring crisp, clear water out of it. To either side of it, there's a giant statue of a dwarf carved into the stone as well, and the rest of the building kind of grows outward from there into this huge temple that you all recognize as a temple to the Five. Directly in front of you all, right here, you do see the stone building with the sign that announces itself as Rogark's Used Wares. So Apollyon and Liam go heading towards the fountain. Vale's following along as well, kind of keeping to himself. Vulcan looks down at Eloise.
Watch it.
You gonna be okay, Dragonfly?
Why wouldn't I be?
You go get him, girl.
Yeah, I really don't think he cares what you say, Blood, honestly. He's only listening to Eloise right now.
Yeah, he is.
Getting?
Well, he'll approach the front of the shop and then start doing a couple of hand gestures to identify himself as a syndicate member.
As you're approaching and you're making these hand gestures, you notice the two halflings, when you first start approaching, tense up a little bit, and one of them slips a hand inside his coat. You make the motions with your hand, signifying through the code that you are indeed someone from the syndicate. One of them nods to you, and the two go back looking nonchalant, like children playing in the streets. Eloise, you don't have a very high passive perception, do you?
18.
Oh, so it's actually pretty high. So yeah, you probably
Damn.
noticed this exchange as well, though you probably noticed this exchange as well, though you don't recognize what the sign's blood's doing. You definitely saw him like flicker a few hand motions and nod and bob a little bit, and the two halflings who you thought were children at first definitely responded.
I wave at the two halflings.
One of them waves back in a childish sort of way, keeping up the whole mystique that he's holding.
Curl with a smile on Blood's face, just like, all right, it's like this is great. Walk in.
Well, as the two of you step into the building, the door to the stone building jingles as you open it, but you don't see a bell hung anywhere nearby. Behind a long bar of a desk sits a dwarf with black hair and an oiled and combed beard, sitting with his feet up on the counter. He seems to be smoking a cigarette laced with something that has a sweet spice smell to it, and there's a low cloud of smoke that hovers at thigh level and that swirls about you as you both step inside. The dwarf eyes you silently as you enter and simply stares at you both as he taps an impatient foot on the counter.
Give a nice little greeting. It's like, my name is Blood. While he's doing it, he's just gonna do hand gestures, and thieves can't, identifying who he is. I was wondering if I could talk to you today.
After you identify yourself and say this, the dwarf nods to you as though he expected you to say exactly that. And he sits up in his chair before pulling a book out from underneath the counter. Lock the door behind you, won't you? He asks as he's fishing out a pair of glasses and he sets them on his bulbous nose.
Okie dokie. And I go over to the door and I close it.
You hurry over to the door, and the door is a simple wooden thing with a glass window, and you pull it closed and push a little slide lock over it. There's also a little sign hanging in the window that says open, and he nods to you, and you turn it around to indicate closed.
Cool spell for the ring bell thing. That was nifty.
No, thanks. That's He points up, and you see on the back of the door, there's a little rune carved in the threshold.
As I said, my name is Blood. I am, but my friend here is not, but she is trustworthy. Plus, you probably understand what we're hand gestures, but she's no danger to me.
Hi, I'm Eloise.
This is Eloise.
He doesn't take your hand, Eloise, or anything, and he kind of just looks at you and looks back at Blood, and he just kind of rolls his eyes a little bit as he says, "Yeah, I can tell you're not from around here."
You have a wonderful beard.
Well, thank you. I do comb it regularly, and he kind of strokes it a little bit.
Hal is just so well taken care of.
Well, thank you. I appreciate being noticed. And he looks back at you, Blood, and he says, "Full name and affiliation?"
And he'll give him Blood from Stone, I guess it's gonna be the exact same job that this guy has. Does he need to give the name of the shop he works in?
He's when he asks you name and affiliation, you've been a member for a long time. You know what he means. He
would almost be like rank and serial number, like a soldier would give.
It's more like, who are you and what's your occupation and what branch were you out of? More like that.
And then he'll a fence. That's essentially the.
Okay. The dwarf writes this down in his book and then turns and says, "Ona, get your green ass out here!" The door behind him opens a crack and you see a yellow eye peeking out from behind it. The dwarf says, "Check the status on one blood from a stone from Rowena, please." The door closes once again. Make a perception check.
He goes, "I have been away. Can I pay my due at your job?"
both of us or just blood?
You
Why
can
not?
you both can if you want.
Big
Wow.
rolls.
Yeah, big rolls. You can both hear a woman's voice whispering in common, something about requesting information on a blood from a stone from Rowena and current status within the guild. When you're talking about your dues, the dwarf just kind of looks at you and says, "Been out for a long time, have you?"
Unfortunately, yes. Much longer than I would prefer to.
Uh, yeah, I see it all the time. Just wait, we'll see what Ona has to say. A couple minutes later, the door.
While we're waiting, I'm just gonna wait for the blood. Are you gonna tell him about all the killed?
Really important.
But that shot was like 300 feet.
Hey, you know what? They know. They probably already heard. Okay, they're pro gamer.
About 4 minutes later, the door does open once again, and a small green hand reaches out a sheet of paper with something scribbled on it in a language you don't recognize, either of you. The dwarf snatches it up and reads it over for a few moments before glancing up at you both thoughtfully. Says here, you had a bounty on your head less than a month ago.
So yes, and surprisingly, way.
Indeed it does. Theft of valuable property owned by the Zaim himself. Is that right?
I don't know. Theft.
Saim.
The Zaim is the ruler of the Margarden Federation, girl. How do you not know that?
Doesn't. She's barely been in Federation.
I've been to Port Valena and Bradfordshire and now Morag. It's been very exciting.
We dipped into it with.
Finding the innocent ones, huh? And he kind of gives you a knowing nod.
Hey, we did. You know what? Ironically, we come across her on the road being harried by a bunch.
He kind of just chuckles a little bit. Well, but it does look like the kill order was rescinded a couple of weeks ago, leaving you free and clear. You seem to have some friends in high places, don't you?
Well, unfortunately, I don't know if it's a high friend or if it's a high enemy. Somehow took care of that bounty. I do not know. That is actually another reason why I am. Well, actually, I have a few different things.
Well?
It's like I found some of our merchandise, and I was wondering if I could exchange it with you. And he's gonna pull out the stamped gold, the syndicate stamped gold.
So you pull out a bar of the stamped gold, and he looks at it and looks at you and says, "This isn't what you took from the Zaim, is it?"
No, this was something we found later when we were.
We got it from a man named Reork, and he had it at his house, and we charmed him. He was kind of mind controlled by this like monster thingy called the Dream Witness.
Okay, he didn't need the full details. A syndicate member is betraying the syndicate by working Koines, very dangerous enemy. And we procured this from his person. Actually, I didn't. Somebody else took it. I just
I
recognized
did.
what it
I
was.
found it. I brought it. But don't worry, we killed the Dream Witness.
You need to make another persuasion check because his mouth was open to about to say one thing, and then you said the name Reork Seigman, and you said that he was a syndicate member.
Big numbers.
23.
Well,
I've got a book, the information, or an associate of ours that's traveling here, Morag, as we speak. He's been working behind the syndicate's back. Vile enemy.
look,
Was
and
it his wife, maybe?
No,
the
she
dream
was
witness?
she was orders. I think
No,
that's
she
what
was his wife. He kept saying she was his wife.
Oh, well, I don't remember. I mean, Blood wasn't in that situation.
I love the fact that the two of you are just arguing in front of this
I would
dwarf.
think this is out of character.
Oh
'cause I
no,
don't
this is
remember him
in
saying-
character.
No, this is definitely in character.
Blood
I meant
wasn't
it in
there.
character.
Blood wasn't there. It's just like I have. no
Yeah,
idea.
yeah. Before
guys-
we
you
even
guys-
met her, he said
Oh,
trash on my
yeah.
wife. Yeah.
You guys took care of her. I have no idea.
So-
Trasher.
So this is great because this dwarf is like he opened his mouth to say one thing, and then you said another thing. He was like his mind is going around in a gigantic circle because first you guys talk about stealing from another syndicate member, then you start talking about his wife Alamia, and he's not like. There's a lot.
Make a wisdom saving throw.
Yeah, he almost needs to.
Like I said,
Simon was the one
If-
was brainwashed by the dream witness, or if it was just his wife and he was just trying to, stay on her good side. Because, she had that
No.
ability to curse people, and
I
And
think
the
everybody
dwarf
except-
the dwarf is going to hold his hand up, and he says, "Look. I don't need to hear the life story.
exactly.
I kind of
No.
don't want to take this. I'm not gonna lie."
Well, I trust me. I understand. I didn't expect them to give this to me when I found it.
Well, I'm not gonna lie. Blood from a stone. If at least I don't have to kill you outright, because your boundary has been rescinded. Now, and he taps the gold bar that you had placed out. How many of these do you got?
oh, a bunch.
Just
Uh,
let answer.
There are a few. I guess how much are they each one worth?
Well, I remember I told
think
you
we
there's...
ever-
Yeah, I remember I told you they're worth an X amount.
Yeah, but I just didn't know how much each bar individually.
What was the total amount?
Well, it was $4 grand total, but he gave 500 GP to the others.
Okay,
Yeah.
so I told you it's $4 grand total, and there are 40 bars, because I remember there are
Okay.
40 bars. So each bar would be worth 100 gold.
worth.
So you've given 5 away, which would leave you 35 of these bars.
There are a few.
And he thinks for a moment, and he says, "I shouldn't do it, because shit you're telling me... Honestly, I should tell you both to leave right now. I'm not gonna lie."
Trust me, I'm waiting to get back to Rowena. Give the
Guys, you haven't even
Me-
started to ask the right questions yet. What the hell's going on?
You're not
But
there.
I thought
You're
I
not
thought-
there.
ask about
I
the
know.
place.
Um,
Let's.
I'll-
I will
I'll-
keep Boston out, and I can deliver those home. That's not a problem.
fair
Keep your
enough.
hands out of this. You don't have to take the goods if they do come up. Somehow, Syndicate is involved with Signet. You're all in a lot of trouble. But I won't. You don't have to get any involved. I can give you my dues plus a little extra, and there's just a bit of information about something that happened in the city. Somebody we're tracking. If you might have information.
Well,
He's not Syndicate, I can guarantee you that.
based on your 23 persuasion, the dwarf thinks to himself and he says, he reaches out picks up that gold bar that you had placed down there, hefts it in his hand, and he sets it below the counter. And he looks at you and he says, I never saw you. Well, I suppose I did see you since I did ask about you. But I didn't buy anything from you. But I'm willing to give you some information if that's what you're looking for. What can I do for you?
Well, we got track in a rather large individual. Now, recently there have been a string of you know about. I'm assuming you've heard about.
Oh, everyone's heard about that. Damnedest thing.
The last... Now, we've heard the name of the last citizen he went after was... what was the last name? Presslord. We believe this is the real target of the we're after with Presslord, Sir Elvis Presslord. Now, the gentleman we are looking after is a rather large Goliath. But it seems all of the people we've talked to, the guards, people in the taverns I came across, everyone just seemed to think large shadow. But he is a Goliath, not Syndicate.
And
But
not
he
the
is-
one who's outside, because that's my affair.
Yeah, worry about that. But looking for the... Well, if we can find Presslaw, because apparently he escaped, might find us toward...
That name Presslor, I have heard that name. They've been talking about that for a few weeks now. Apparently somebody broke into his mansion, injured a bunch of his guards and servants, tried to kill him, but he managed to escape.
All I know is he's a dwarf of some kind. I don't even know what he does for... But he isn't so important as the person that was trying to kill.
Oh no! And he just kind of turns and yells. The door opens up, and then that yellow eye, and you can see a bit of green skin, Eloise, with that 18 passive perception of yours. She opens the door and looks out, and the dwarf says, "What have you got on Elvis Presslor and the attacks and the murders of the city?" The door closes. And the dwarf says, just give her a minute. Ona's
Hi.
she is shy. She doesn't like most people. You'll have to forgive her, but...
Nothing to... Hi.
Make a persuasion check, Eloise.
Persuasion?
Persuasion.
Okay. Natural 20 for 21.
Oh my god.
Oh my
god.
The dwarf leans towards you, and he kind of waves you towards him, and he says, "You know, the hegemony tends to look the other way on a lot of things, but not everybody appreciates goblins. But you seem like the type who understands they're just beings like the rest of us. They don't want to hurt anybody. They're not somebody you just kill outright without questioning. They're beings who want to live and want to just carry out their lives. You understand? You would never hurt a goblin, would you?"
Unless he tried to hurt me first. Or my horse.
Mm. Well, you know, horse meat is a delicacy among them, and he kind of chuckles, but I occasionally get the wife a horse steak every now and again. They love it. They think it's the best tasting meat under the sun. So, you know, it happens.
You know, I've never tried horse. I wouldn't know. I love that you work with your wife.
Oh, yeah, you know, we've had our shop here for a few years, and he goes just starts conversationally talking about him and his wife and how they've had this shop here and how she tends to stay away and stay in the back room because she doesn't really like a whole lot of people. But they met one day while he was out fighting in some skirmish or another, and they met, and he always wanted to help her out, and so he brought her back here, and they've lived their quiet life together.
How dare you, Blood, for
Just so
saying you brought the
sweet.
wrong person? This
I know.
is a
Now,
conversationalist.
It all turned into the right person.
Oh, probably. Didn't happen to have like items or maybe some sort of great axe. My friend, he lost his great axe and he one, and so I'm wondering if you have any.
Huh, great axe. He
That's what Polly was asking for, right?
Apples, you right?
I mean,
Big red apple.
that and winged boots.
Well, let me think. And the dwarf kind of gets up and starts looking around the various shelves and things of that nature. He reaches under a shelf and pulls out what is something wrapped in a bit of a tarp. He pulls it out and dust goes flying everywhere, and he sets a very nice looking battle axe down on the counter in front of him. Well, I don't have a great axe. I do have a battle axe here, which is very nice. Pick this up off of a hobgoblin that was passing through about maybe 6 or 7 years ago, and nobody's wanted it since, but he always said this thing was sharpest edge he's ever seen.
Good Blood. What do you think? Apple would like this one? What Apple's looking for?
I mean, is it a pretentious enough looking weapon?
The weapon itself is actually very simply made. The axe is the blade itself is onyx black, but with a sharp edge. The wood has an almost mahogany finish to it of the axe handle, and the double side of the battle axe. You see it etched into the blade itself, a boar's head on either side.
So absolutely beautifully carved. Not exactly considered Elton John flashy, but beautiful weapon.
It's a decent weapon. It certainly is. And he says, "Yeah, it's I've swung it once or twice myself, but I don't know. It's never really been my style of weapon." And you notice on his sides, he has a pair of short swords.
I should ask though, because we just cured him of a curse. This isn't cursed, is it?
I mean, hasn't cursed me as far as I know. And he kind of chuckles. About that time, the door opens once again, and a hand reaches out. He looks at, and the hand kind of waves a little bit before disappearing behind the door. Elvis Preslor. Yeah, Ona has heard a little bit about this. According to the rumor mill, some gigantic shadowy thing smashed, I should say, not broke, smashed into the mansion and started hacking away at anybody who came up to him. I have a report here from one urchin who is watching the whole thing, and this gigantic creature, whatever it was, seemed to just meld out of the stone, form up as a gray individual, gigantic, massive in size, broke down the door, and just started hacking away at people. According to this, Presslor managed to escape, sent every single person at his household against this guy. And he raced off into the Underdark.
Oh, okay. Not a very nice place to go. Yeah,
but
that's
what
that
Bailey-
sounds the gray-skinned. That does sound like the person we're tracking. So it certainly seems like we are on the right case. Did they? And I guess wherever his house is, would we know? I was like, do they know exactly where they entered the Underdark from?
The last time Presslor was seen at all, the urchin said he was fleeing into the depths, and he pulls out a map and kind of spreads it out on the table. On it you can see the entire sprawl of the city, a big, wide, ovular shape underneath the mountain, and he points to it and says, "Here's the palace here." And he kind of scrolls his hand down a little bit. Here's where his Presslor's mansion was. And over here, and he points a little ways away in that same district, this was the monastery he taught at. Now, Presslor here was seen at the mansion as he was fleeing, and he drags his hand over about halfway across the edge of the map, and he points down to what appears to be a tunnel segment that goes off away from the central city itself, and he says, "This was the path to the depths that we last spotted him at." All I can tell you for sure is, whatever that big guy was, he definitely followed. According to Ona, there were 3 others with him.
Were they also the same size, or did anybody really get? I mean, they're shadowy, I'm assuming.
They were all shadows, but they weren't nearly as big as him. Most of them, probably about your size, maybe a little shorter. Humanoid, though.
Oh, this is fantastic. Definitely help. He's gonna take out 100 gold, not a bar, and give him 100 gold for his information. He goes, the information, your discretion.
The coins disappear very quickly. The coins disappear very quickly. Not on your level, but pretty close. And the dwarf nods to you, and he says, "Now the axe there, 3,500 is what I'll part ways with it for."
Would be so. We'd have to like pool our money.
Okay, can I unlock the door and ask Apple if you like it?
Well, a lot of money. Although we have interesting items, we sell to you eventually in exchange as well.
Have goggles like these that can help in the dark?
The dwarf's kind of taken aback by, "Oh, I have money. Oh, do you have this?" No, I don't. I don't think I do have any goggles like that. I suppose you're looking for an enchanter. Is really what you're looking for. Now, if you have some used goods, I'm happy to take them off your hands. But if you came by them,
Oh, this was something. The cursed item is what I was gonna. If you'd be interested in, not that it would curse you, you have to, like, wear it. That's something I suppose we should probably just have to out at night.
I don't want anything that's cursed. I'm going to tell you that, no, without question. If you have anything else that's been that's you've gotten your hands on through those unsavory means.
We paid the iron price for. Is that what you're asking? I'm sure we got some.
No, I was more talking about things you picked up that you don't want anybody to know about.
I have 2 vials of green dragon poison.
Do you? And the dwarf's, could take those off your hands, I suppose. Dragon's poison's always helpful, if it's stored properly.
I don't know. Blood stored it like this, and I show him the
Get 'em
2
poisoned.
vials.
Yeah, those look decent. I could give you. He's kind of he's holding it up, and he actually pulls a jeweler's loop out of his pocket and puts it up to his eye and starts
This
examining
green
it.
dragon almost killed me. I was unconscious. And you know what she did? She zombified the whole grove of druids and some dryads and some other creatures and the bees, even the giant bees.
She's excitable.
Sounds like y'all have a lot of interesting adventures.
You two men. I would prefer the quiet life.
Well, as for these vials, I'm willing to give you 200 gold apiece for them. This poison seems fairly nice. I could do a lot with this.
Okay, out of character, I
Yeah.
still have 10 more vials.
Yeah, well, as I say, yeah, because we had 12. Like, I don't want to.
That's why I said only 2.
I mean, if you're selling 2 vials, he's willing to put up 200 gold for the for each vial, so that's 400 gold apiece.
I mean, if we gave him 2 grand.
I mean, my character's not there, but I'd totally be willing to trade in the trident and the cloak, since I wouldn't have the matching set with the crown.
Oh yeah.
I
What
mean,
about
we could,
items?
Just beware. This is a rogue shop, not a barter shop.
Well, if we're done,
Well,
if
there
we're
is-
this,
Well, most of
Is
y'all
it
aren't
okay
in
if I-
there.
unlock the door and ask Apple to come in, because he's the one who would be using that.
It is 10 o'clock. The dwarf, make an insight check real quick, Eloise.
I need to ask you a question.
What you gonna
20.
ask?
So when the dwarf was saying he was willing to buy things, you with your 20 insight, you pick up. It's more he's saying if you have illicit gains, if you've stolen things and want to sell them,
yeah, that's
I'm willing to buy them. He wasn't talking about your everyday wares.
That's why I mentioned
Everyday
dragon.
wares,
Okay,
we're
wait,
talking
wait.
like items.
Yeah, but this is a fence.
This is a fence.
That's why I'm kind of confused why he doesn't want the cursed item. As long as we told him it was cursed already.
Let's see. I mean, I could sell him all those jewels that we got, and then. Did you ever?
4,300 for that axe? Damn.
No,
30.
35.
5.
How- We never discussed the 6 diamonds in that sack. You didn't tell me. You just said they were medium-sized diamonds.
Sorry, they're worth about 100 gold each.
Means I can revivify.
It gives you 2 revivifies, basically.
Yeah, so that's what.
It gave you 2 revivifies, and it gave you 1 more use of greater restoration. So you still have the 6 diamonds.
Yeah, I mean, we've got all those those amulets of the continual flame and shit. We got a bunch of those, but we could keep them. We could sell those. And ironically, the rest of the stuff we killed. I mean, we found. We didn't have to steal. We didn't have to cure them by illegal.
But he doesn't need to know.
So
we can find another shop.
Eloise and Blood, I'm going to allow the 20 insight to go to both of you, and I'm just going to say, like, a fence while yes, they
Yeah.
do buy things from you, you would know, Blood, especially since you used to work as a fence, that they take more off the top because it is a stolen
Alyssa,
good.
yeah.
So you can, if you want to insist on selling to him specifically, you can, but you will probably get more gold from selling to
Else.
somebody else. Blood would know that, and that's why I was trying to
Yeah.
not outright say that, but
Uh,
that's fine.
tell you what, take the 400 for the poisons. Probably definitely be back to take a look at it. I have a feeling that something he.
Dad axe.
But I do appreciate the information given us. Definitely help us.
And the dwarf nods to you and he says, "Well, if you need anything else, don't hesitate to come by. I'm always happy to take your gold bars." And he kind of chuckles a little bit.
I'm gonna whisper to Blood, should I give him the papers we got?
No, we'll hang on to that. Source.
As you do, he hands you over the 400 gold for those 2 vials of dragon poison. He nods to you, and as you're all leaving, and you unlock the door and put his sign back to open as you all exit. And the rest of Morag, including the merchant's row, is open to you, which is where we will end things this evening.
Apple! Found a great It's not a, it's a battle axe. It's just like a really good one.
That sounds awesome.
Deal with it later.
But with that, thank you everybody for watching this evening. We absolutely appreciated you tuning in. Come by next Monday at 7 p.m. to see us again as we continue on with the adventures of the Faab Five as they search for Grood, the Goliath. Have a great evening. We love you. Thank you very much. We'll see you next week.
Yeah.